What's up, guys? I'm gonna do kind of another like it's a great start, like the Tau Thursday where I was painting. I'm gonna do another live painting session and just kind of ramble at the camera. But I can't paint Tau this week because I have so much commissions in such a short space of time to get them done. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, I'll call it tabletop Thursday or something. But yeah, came back from Spain there on Saturday, done some adult things, going seeing people, cleaning up, doing washing, all that kind of stuff. I didn't get back hobbying until Monday after work, so since Monday I have got a wee bit done. I went out to one of the lads' houses last night because he picked up a load of the commission stuff from Dublin for me, and I started working on one of them models, Scar 3 Admiral of the Black Fleet. I put a review of the model up last night. So between last night and my lunch break today and a bit of time earlier, I started cleaning up all the flash and the mould lines on Scar. So I put her aside now so I can do this. Just takes this gunslingers. There's 3 of them painted up. I'll just, because all the Cryx is getting base the same, I'll just do a batch base session because I just find that easier. So the 6 gunslingers are done, 2 slayers, they're done as well, and then I'm just gonna I'll pop this off a minute and show you what I'm talking about. So all this here has to be done, some of it is done. That there, this is what came last night, and that box over there, not including the other cases I have stashed under the couches and stuff. So it is a lot to do. So I texted the lads, the 2 lads that I'm doing most of the stuff for, and I said, look, give me a list of what you actually need. So I think it was Flying Jacks or something, and it's not even this one that I'm meant to be doing, but he's basically done bar the OSL effect and base, so he will be getting sprayed up with Nightmare that I've been working on. He's almost done bar wash on this and some OSL, so he'll be done. This is the Blood and Martyrs. I dropped a piece off him last night, so I haven't really done much else. He's a character Menot Jack. And this is a Hellsinger Pistol Wraith Phantom or something. It's basically Ghost Cane, I think is what they're calling him. So he yesterday I finished up and left him to be washed, and I never got around to doing it. So when I'm talking crap here, I'm gonna wash this guy and the skulls and stuff on this, and then I have more models actually on the table that I didn't show you. You might have seen them, but they all have to be done. So yeah, I was in Spain. I popped out to Barcelona one of the days. I was staying in Salou, so it was like an hour and a half drive. And me and herself got the bus, but it was only 20 quid or something. And where the bus dropped us, I Google mapped it. There was a Games Workshop 9 minutes walk away. So she said, you know, we'll go over and see what the crack is and whatever. And that was grand. I don't know what way it works over there normally, or if it was just, or if that is normal. But when we went over, I think Games Workshop opened at like 10. It closed at 2:30 or 2 o'clock, and then it opens again in the evening. So I went in speaking absolutely, well, I could say in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. That was about as far as I could get. But your man in Games Workshop, so there was 2 lads in there painting Space Marines. And the guy that worked there was just kind of packing shells, and he started rambling at me in Spanish, and I was like, look, I don't speak Spanish. I said it in Spanish to him, and he was like, that's fine, I speak English, I'm such and such, I'll give you a hand. It was really friendly environment. And sometimes when you go into Games Workshop in some of the bigger places, it's almost too much. like just people screaming and shouting, and there's kids running around, and there's moms trying to figure out what was going on. This one was really relaxed. I said it to Nicole. I said I'd easily spend the day in here, you know. And at that stage, I hadn't painted in like 6 or 7 days, and it was really starting to get to me because I knew how much I had to do. But it's just leading up to the holiday, you know, cleaning the place before you go and packing stuff and whatever. But your man was really helpful. It was a really good experience, and where I live, there's no game shop unless you drive for an hour and a half to Dublin, and you've Games Workshop and you've Gamers World, and Gamers World's where I hang out because that's where the Leinster Brigands are. That's where, you know, you can play War Machine. This is all War Machine models I'm painting for lads up there in the Brigands Club. I'm one of the Brigands as well, so it's kind of our humble abode, you could say. But you could pop in there anytime and just take a table. I think Games Workshop in Dublin only stays open late on Wednesdays for games, and they get booked out pretty fast, so I don't really go there too often. It's nice to go in the odd time and just look at models, and there's some guy in there with a Class Tau army, and it's always in the case. I like going in and seeing that. But the one in Barcelona, the stuff they had was really cool, and the paint jobs were amazing. They had Blood Angels intercessors in the window. Obviously they had other stuff as well, and there was like Nagash and stuff on top of the glass cabinets and the shelving units and everything. So it was really cool. Really enjoyed it. But I was gonna buy the Sun Shark Bomber because I don't have a flyer for Tau as such, and it was like 50 quid or something. I was like, oh, I don't really want to drop 50 quid on just, well, I could magnetise it to be the Sun Shark Bomber and whatever the fighter version is. So your man was kind of rooting away in the background. And I seen the Tau Codex, and I was like, oh, finally. And then I was like, yeah, there's no point in getting that. It's probably going to be in Spanish. And then I seen the data cards, and I had the exact same epiphany, I suppose you could say. I was like, oh my god, I could get this. Like, you know, when we were there, it was raining for like 5 to 7 days, and one of the sunny days we actually spent in Barcelona. It's just the way we looked out. So I was like, I could spend the rest of the holiday in the hotel room reading the Tau Codex and list dojo in. And I was like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting it in Spanish and not having a clue. Like, at the time, it seemed like a great idea, but it wasn't. So I didn't get that. And I was looking at the Primaris Aggressors. I went for a run earlier, and I popped this bad boy in the freezer when I came back, and it is ice cold, and it's just brilliant. So I'm enjoying that now. But yeah, I was checking out the Primaris Aggressors because I think they're so cool, because I like Centurions. I think that, yeah, the normal Space Marine Centurions, but I don't like the fact that they're like all kind of bulky and stuff, and the Primaris Aggressors just look like really beefed up Primaris models. So I was like, right, I'll pick up a box of these, and I seen the standard Space Marine box of them first, and it was 50 quid. And I was like, oh, if I'm not spending €50 on Tau, I'm not spending €50 on Space Marines. So that was grand. I'm just trying to find something to paint now, because there's not really much more I can do on them until the wash is dry. I'm just going to get up the pictures, the Texas unit I have to paint, and then I will continue rambling. Yeah, so I was like, no, I'm not going to buy that, and then I copped the Blood Angel one. And weird enough, like, I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but the Blood Angels unit was actually $42.50, and I was like, still kind of don't really want to spend that much, but I'll see what else is here. And I was walking around with them in my hand, and I found the easy to build Primaris Aggressors, and I was like, right, well, I do have, I think it's the equivalent to 3 of the Blood Angels blister pack upgrades. One of the lads got one, and he gave it to me because he plays Ultramarines. And I bought the Blood Angels Primaris Hellblasters, and they basically came with 2 packs of them. So I think the Primaris Aggressors, the easy to build ones, were like $24.50. So, you know, half price more or less. and I was like, you know what, I'll treat myself and I'll pick them up. It's not that big of a spend. And that was grand. I'll walk on 5 for now. So I was happy enough. I was buying them, and I found the Primaris easy to build Redemptor Dreadnought, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I loved it. Like, the lad that plays Ultramarines has I was going to say Marnius Calgar. He has Rebute, Robo Girly Man. So, and he has 2 repulsors and 2 of the Redemptors, and they're just massive. I think they're absolutely deadly models. And I was like, oh, I really want one. So I had the 2 of them in my hand, and I was looking at them, and I was trying to figure out which one I wanted. I think the Redemptor Dreadnought worked out at like $32.50, and the standard one was like €60 or something. I was like, I could have been €50 or whatever it was. And I was like, Nicole, I don't know which to buy. So she just took the Dreadnought, walked up and paid for it. And I was like, really? That just happened? So I went to give her the money for it, and she says, no, that's for you. So I got the Primaris Aggressors as well. So first thing I done on Monday evening, when I was waiting on stuff to dry, was I built up my Primaris Aggressor. So this standard, didn't do anything to this guy. This guy is standard, because I thought when I bought the easy to build ones that I could do the shoulder pads, so I could actually put the Primaris shoulder pads I have onto them, but you can't. So what I done was I took the Sergeant model and gave him the Primaris head with the blood drop, and I gave him this little shield. It's just small conversions, and then I'll use transfers on them, so they're actually blood angels. But the Redemptor Dreadnought isn't as posable as the standard one. I know you get extra weapons and all that kind of stuff with it, but I just didn't really want to spend that much money. So here is, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen him during the week. First Company Veteran Brother Gravis, I think I called him. So I've actually never named any of my guys. So there's a bit of cloth. That's the side panel of the Venerable Dreadnought weapon kit. This is off a Land Speeder. I think that could be the Dark Angels stuff. That's definitely Dark Angels, and I gave him a Dark Angels shield. But it's just, you know, everyone else's Primaris Redemptor looks base, and I wanted mine to be different. So I'm gonna have this, when I paint him up, to look super heated, as if he's been firing for ages, and you know, he's letting it cool down. And I'm gonna have this thing with a little bit of like cotton wool to make it look like it's smoke, as if he's firing that. What I probably should have done before I glued all this on was I probably should have cut 1 or 2 of the missiles out to make it look like they were fired, but I might do that yet. And this thing apparently is really loose. He doesn't have that anymore, because in gameplay it's only going to end up getting broke off anyway, so there's no point in me putting it on. Yeah, so Statixis now. I have 10 of these guys to do. These are the Statixis Blood Witches. And if you look at the detail in these ones, like, it took most of Monday to paint these guys, and I decided to try and use a wet palette on them, just to try and get used to actually using it instead of wasting paint the whole time. And it just took ages, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what I'm doing with a wet palette, and I don't actually have the right stuff for it. I'm using greaseproof paper, and you're meant to use parchment paper, so that doesn't help. But it done for the, like, it did keep the paint wet, but like, I've changed it twice since Monday. I probably have to change it again now, because I didn't really do much yesterday. No, it might be alright for the time being. So yeah, Spain was good, especially because I got to go to Games Workshop. That's kind of just a recap up to where I am at the minute. So much detail in these models. Yeah, so all of these models are getting done for the upcoming War Machine Welsh Masters tournament. I think I have 4 weeks to paint all this stuff. No pressure. Pressure's for tires, that's what I keep saying to myself. So I have not played a game of War Machine in the guts of a year. Well, August, so what's that, like 8 months or something ago was the last game of War Machine I played, and that was at the Irish Iron Gauntlet tournament. You can actually see them doing pictures just about. I'll try and paint over here. That the Brigands ran, and I wasn't really too pushed on going to the Welsh because I hadn't been playing, and the lads were like, sure, look, we'll get an extra couple of games in or whatever, and that was grand. At the time it seemed like a really good idea, and then I was like, when I came back from Spain, I was like, that's more or less a month away. I have to paint the guts of 2 armies and learn how to play War Machine competitively again, and never mind paint stuff for myself for that, so it'll be fun. I'm flying out at like 25 to 6 on the Saturday morning, going on the beer the Saturday night, and not flying home till like 9:30 on Sunday evening, so it'll be nearly 11-12 o'clock before I get home. And I didn't book off the Monday, which is probably a really stupid idea, but I don't know what the hours are for that yet, so hopefully it'll not be too bad. But oh, that's not a Statixis, that's a pirate. So what I done with these guys was I base primed them grey, just the cheap Poundland or Deals or whatever it is, wherever you are, car primer for like 149. Well, I was buying the Halford stuff, but this stuff does the same job, so there's no point in wasting money that I can spend on actual paints. And I have the GW Chaos Black Spray. So I prime first because the Chaos Black Spray is only a colour, it's not a primer. And then that stuff sticks to the grey prime, and you're good to just walk away. It's great for the likes of the jacks and stuff for the Cryx, because then I just start airbrushing on the highlights, do the metals, do the details, washes, OSL, job done, you know. So it's quick and handy. But me, the absolute fool that I was for months, was going through a couple of pots of black paint a week painting Cryx, because I was priming them grey, airbrushing them up black, then airbrushing highlights. It cuts out so much time and so much effort as well if you just use a colour primer. And then for the Menot, I got a brown primer. Then I done airbrush. I think I done 2 layers of a highlight. It was like some messy desert. No. Oh, it is messy desert, and then you shop the bone and then on to details. So it's not only speeding up the process, but saving you a lot of paint as well. But trying to get all the angles is the hard part, because you end up like you know, if you prime a model, you don't really want to touch it and leave dirty fingerprints everywhere. It's the same if you're using a spray can for primer or for basing your models, because if you go and pick that model up, you're going to take the paint off where you touched, and then it's a mess. So trying to use gloves and trying to get all the angles of a model, and it is good, but I'd recommend doing 2 or 3 coats to make sure you have everything. Don't do it in one coat like me. I'm probably going to have to end up like wet blending a lot of this stuff. I think the cloaks are purple. Yeah, when I was wet blending the other day, the way I found that what wasn't working was I was trying to paint. So I had the 3 Statixis Gunslingers, and it was like purple on 1, purple on 2, purple on 3. Then I go and try and, you know, wet blend it, and it's nearly dry at that stage. So if I had to use a drying retarder, it probably would have helped. But if you're doing serious wet blending, I think the best option to do is to do one at a time. Get like highlighted it up to a stage you're good at, or to a point you're happy with, and then move on to the next one from base up again. Because at least that way you know you're getting the full time that you can out of the paint before it dries. Because if I was highlighting, say, a cloak and I wasn't using a wet palette, I'd mix the paints. I didn't mix the paints because I was using a wet palette, and I kind of wanted to, you know, experiment a little bit. So I painted the 3 guys, and I moved on and whatever, and came back to do the highlight, and it was just like, imagine a dark purple and a stark pink. Like, that's how bad it was, because the paint wasn't dry, so it just went on as a flat colour, like. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that now. Big 40k fact dropped the other day, and I think it's tore the community apart. Field allowance tree. Well, I say field allowance because in War Machine there's a, like, if it's a character, the field allowance is C. So obviously you can't have, like, so say if they put that on characters in 40k, it'd be like you couldn't have 3 Rebute Gillimans, you know, because he's a character, you're only allowed 1. And certain things have like field allowance U, which is unlimited, or field allowance 1 for some of the bigger, more expensive things. But bringing it in that they brought in the fact that it's field allowance 3 for data slates, data sheets, whatever it's called, in your army, but that's not per detachment, that's just flat. So if you brought, the way I was explaining it to one of the lads was, if I went and brought 3 Vanguard detachments, I couldn't take 9 Riptides. I could only take 3 of the standard Riptide. I could take 3 Yavaras, I could take 3 Verners. You know what I mean? So you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there, because when they brought out the Tau Codex and it was a case of okay, see your 19 commander models that you've been using in the spam tournament, you're only allowed to bring 1 per detachment. I was like, right, that's fair enough. I'll accept that, but I have the two Forger ones, the XV81, the XV86. I have a Cold Star, I have a standard commander, I have another standard commander. I think I have 8 or 9 commanders in total, and when they brought that in, I was like, you know, balls. I really liked running commanders, but I might take a Spring Command detachment with 2 commanders and an Ethereal, and I take an Ethereal and maybe a cadre, or an Ethereal and Long Strike in the main part of the arms, say a battalion detachment. But even now, it's hard because I have access to 3, potentially 3 Hammerheads, and I could use 1 as Long Strike, an extra 1 as Long Strike. But if I wanted to take more, like if I had bought more, luckily I haven't, I can't use them now. Well, not that I can't use them, I suppose I can in like open play and stuff, but for competitive play I can't. So people are out there with like 8 and 9 Plague Burst Crawlers, or all the Tau Commanders, all that kind of stuff. It's really done them over, like, it's really just kicked them in the shin kind of thing. I know where they're going with it, and I don't know where I'm going with this myself, but I think they made the right call and all that, because it was the same when 8th edition dropped and the competitive tournament scene was 8 or 9 Storm Ravens, so that's why they had to bring in the boots on the ground rule. But a lot of people are just having mental breakdowns over it. I was watching the Facebook feed. Can you even see what I'm painting? No, okay, good man. I was watching the Facebook feed live, and the comments that were on it, it was like, so you're basically saying Tau aren't good anymore. I'm going to eBay my army when this video ends and all this kind of stuff. And like, people need to accept that it's just a game. Like, yes, you spent money on it, yes, you spent time on it, but you know, they're trying to make it as fair as possible for people. They did say that troops and transports aren't affected by the new field allowance rule, so that's something. You know what I mean? Like, if I know the Riptide Wing was a thing in like 7th edition, but I have 2 Riptides now. If I had ended up with any more, if I wanted to play competitively, I could only take 3 of them, which is like, it's a serious pain, because when you think about all the units of crisis suits that I think of like 4 or 5 units of crisis suits now. I can only take 3. Like, if I wanted to run all Vanguard detachments, I could, like, just to do a full crisis suit army, especially for like what's his name, Farsight Enclaves now. It's a bit of a bummer for them. because it's kind of all suits. That's their thing. That's their shindig. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I still have mixed opinions about it, and the new terrain rule has really divided the community. If you're on terrain and there's no space for you to get a model within an inch, you fail to charge, something like that. So like the way I was describing it was, right, so imagine this is my guy and this is my unit and I have units all like this. If that's higher than an inch and you get to here, you're not in combat. So that's a bad example, but the way I was talking about it with the lads was my Tidewall gun rig, I could put that down as standard terrain because, you know, it's a plastic kit and it looks pretty cool, and not actually pay the points for it. So I couldn't use the gun, I couldn't use the drones or anything in the bits that I have. But that's about an inch from the centre outwards. So unless, well, like if they had the vertical distance to get up the edge and across the top, maybe they could stand on that bit. But otherwise, I could basically just sit my Tau commander in there, and he'd be fine. You know, like there's nothing they could do against him because they can't get within an inch. And like, if you look at any kind of plastic terrain kit tables, so the likes of them new pipes, the pipe terrain that GW brought out, MDF terrain, like if you have crates and stuff lying about the place, you're gonna find a way. Even hills, like there'll be a rock or something you can get your model onto. There's gonna be a way for you to get within an inch, but you're not on the same level. And my understanding of it might be wrong, but it basically means you fail to charge unless you're, you know, if you imagine there's 3 floors in the building, if you can't get onto the first floor where the models are, you can't charge them. I don't know, it's a bit weird. I'm sure they'll end up clarifying it in a week or so after they get so many complaints about people going nuts. But yeah, exciting stuff. Drukhari seem to be pretty powerful. I was watching a couple of bat reps with them, and Tau, you know, Tau and Blood Angels are kind of my thing, but I watched a bat rep there at Blood Angels, and I don't know, it's kind of meh. Like when the Blood Angel Codex dropped, like it thought my life was complete, but not so much now. It's just kind of, I don't know if my love for them is fading or if I'm just bored with them or what's going on. Well, I kind of haven't really touched them. Like with the Tau, super stoked because I nearly have a fully painted Tau army. So that kind of keep anyone interested in their army, but the not having the codex is a real problem. And I was chatting to the guy that's meant to get it for me, and he was like, "Do you want me to get it now?" and whatever. And I was like, "No, there's no point, because if I go and get the Tau codex now, I'm gonna end up converting up models, because I've seen I think it's the Supernova launcher, and there's a plasma rifle relic. It's better than a normal plasma rifle. It does 2 damage or something, and it's higher strength and all that kind of stuff. But the conversions that people are doing for them is absolutely class. And there's a new type of commander suit called an Enforcer battle suit, and people are converting that up. And I know the minute I get the codex, the first thing I'm going to do is find out what the weapons are, what they do, and then go and start converting them up. So if I go, like, I know I have commissions and all to do, but I'm going to be trying to do that in the background, and it's going to distract me, and then I'll end up getting burnt out again. So I'm just staying away from it. Trying to limit the distractions that I have. Mouse. Try and limit the distractions I can give to myself, and just get this done. Because once I get everything done for the Welsh Masters, I think that's the 20th of May, it'll be back to painting a few commission bits, painting some of my own stuff. I'm nearly fully painted Tau wise, so it'll be on to Blood Angels then. And hopefully bat reps, because I recorded another bat rep and I played a 4,000 point game of Tau versus Ultramarine. But playing with and against unpainted models isn't cool, so I just didn't bother editing it, because the first one was kind of a milestone, you know, just to get the first bat rep out there, and I done that and whatever, so it's cool. But I want fully painted, fully based army, so when you look at them, right, that's cool. And I have the MDF terrain set, and I opened one of my drawers the other day looking for basing material, and I found 3 or 4 more sheets of crates that I still have to build yet. So when I build them, obviously after the welching, after all this stuff, what I'll do is the plan is to buy black primer, grey primer, and maybe use the brown or something. So I'll base the whole kit in, I had some of that in there already, base the whole kit in black, use the grey primer as like a spot highlight on it, because it's primer, and I know from painting MDF terrain before that the MDF absolutely soaks up the paint that you put on it. So I'll spray it black, highlight it grey with the cans, and then use brown just around the bottom edges, just to make it look like there's dust and stuff around it. I was going to go through the hassle of adding like grit and gravel and gluing it in and cutting pieces off and damaging them up and all, and in the end I was like, I don't really have the time to invest in something like that right now, so I'll paint them up as they are, and sometime in the future when I'm not so bogged down with commissions, I can do it, you know. It's on the long finger, more or less. It's not of the utmost import. But yeah, that's the crack. I think I've rambled for long enough and about a couple of different things, so next Thursday it'll probably be the same scenario again. I'll still be painting commission models. Might build some of my own for the next one if I'm well enough ahead. But I'll call it here, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have stuck it out this long, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, or if you want to chat crap about anything, the FAQ, 40k, painting, anything, just leave them in the comments. I'm sure I can ramble about them in the next one. But I'm gonna call it now and go and make myself some dinner, I think. So cheers, guys, and see you next week.